Today, I want to talk about big things happening in crypto. If you haven't seen this chart, this is going to probably blow your mind. So this is a chart I show every now and then, but it's always good to remind people how scarce Bitcoin actually is. We're going to talk about El Salvador. We are going to talk about Ethereum. We are going to talk about everything important if you are involved in the crypto space. So welcome back everybody. My name is Cristiano, bringing you cryptocurrency videos every day, teaching you how to make money in this market. If you're new to this channel, then make sure to subscribe and also activate the bell right now. And let's begin with Bitcoin here on the 4-hourly time frame. And we can see that we are still above the big orange box here. And this is important. And not only are we above it right now on the 4-hourly time frame, but this is how it's looking on the daily time frame. And you can see that on the daily time frame, we have actually opened up a candle. We have closed above the orange box as well. So we have opened and closed one entire daily candle above the orange box here. So this is definitely important, and this is signaling to us that yes, this is going to be some support if we should come down here again, because the longer we are above this, the higher or the stronger we're reinforcing this level. Okay, so let's go back to the 4-hourly time frame. And we can see that the overall trend we had as we were approaching and breaking this level is still intact. You can see that we still have the momentum here. We're still making higher lows and higher highs. So this is very important, and that is also looking good. Apart from that, you can see that we are making a little bit of a structure here. So, I mean, you can do it something like that. If you want to draw it like, from these candles right here, you can do that as well. But we have this formation, so a little bit of a channel actually. So you can see, you can do it something like that. You can see the spirit of the actual, direction of Bitcoin at the very least. So that is all looking good for Bitcoin. It's all looking good. And now we're just waiting for us to reclaim any of these levels above here. First point of resistance being 55,200. And then, of course, we have the support here at 51,611. Should we come down here, I am expecting this to still be decent support for Bitcoin. So that's looking good. But for Ethereum, we still have, we broke out of this formation. We are still struggling with the resistance here. And I mean, this resistance, once we break it, I do believe that we are going to see a rather quick pump up to the next level of resistance, which is all the way up at 4,453. So this is stuff you already probably know about. So everything is looking good for Bitcoin, everything is looking good for Ethereum. But what you may not know is how scarce Bitcoin actually is. And I'm going to show you how this is becoming even more scarce by the day right now. Before we jump into all of that, make sure to subscribe and activate the bell. And also, of course, if you want to claim some bonuses, you're able to get $2,000 over on Femex, $3,610 over on Bybit, and $2,200 over on C-Trade. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to is the funding rates here. And you can see that the funding rates are still at a decent level. But if this pumps up to insane levels, well, of course, Bitcoin is going to be a little bit more risky in the short term. But we are not nowhere close to those insane levels like 0.2% or 0.3%. We're still at 0.017%. So not looking too bad there. El Salvador just made Bitcoin legal tender, and they purchased 200 Bitcoin, which, may not seem like that much. But if you just think about it, you can go to El Salvador right now and, go into any store, and they need to be able to accept Bitcoin. This is huge. And you can see the president himself saying it here on Twitter. El Salvador has just bought its first 200 Bitcoins. Our brokers will be buying a lot more as the deadline approaches. So if you don't know what this is about, it's about the program they have where they are going to distribute Bitcoin to the local population so that they, get more familiar with using wallets and what it's all about, because there's still a lot of misunderstandings with what Bitcoin actually is. A lot of people see Bitcoin as something like, the one coin. Like they take all the cryptocurrencies. I mean, OneCoin wasn't even a cryptocurrency, but anything that is, sounding like a crypto, whatever it is, a coin, a crypto, a token, they take all of that and they just assume all of that is a scam. So this is good to, spread awareness and let people actually know that, yeah, Bitcoin is here to stay, and Bitcoin is in the long run going to be a better choice for El Salvador to use as a currency as opposed to the dollar. I think that this is really, really interesting. So we will see how this is going to progress. But now I want to show you something very important. So what we can see right here is the net transfer volume from and to exchanges. This is something that you are already probably familiar with if you've been watching my channel, but I do have some updates. So you can see that we had this huge outflow of Bitcoin. So let me just tell you about what this actually is. So when you are seeing this in the green, it means that more Bitcoin was transferred into exchanges. And when it's in the red, it means that more Bitcoin was transferred from exchanges. So people were withdrawing when it's red, people were depositing when it's green. And then you compare all of the deposits and all of the withdrawals, and you get, this is skewed to any side. So like this peak right here, it means that a lot of people were depositing on this day. Here, it means that a lot of people were withdrawing. So I believe that this had something to do with the Binance FUD. When Binance were having all of that FUD and they were restricting withdrawals to 2 Bitcoin maximum for unverified accounts, a lot of people just withdrew from these exchanges. And I said back here that I still think that it's bullish, even if it's just people withdrawing because Binance are restricting withdrawals. This still means that there's going to be less Bitcoin available on the exchanges once people really start to be buying. And we did see this massive withdrawal, and you can see that we are trending down right now. More people are withdrawing Bitcoin from the exchange, and I'm going to tie this all together with the macros here in a bit. But just know that right now we're seeing big amounts of Bitcoin being withdrawn from the exchanges, and we are going to most likely see something like this period right here, when you had days where more Bitcoin was being deposited than withdrawn. But all in all, if you just look at this whole entire period here, we had way more days where a lot of Bitcoin were withdrawn compared to deposited here. So more Bitcoin was leaving exchanges compared to being deposited. And then you look at the price, which is the gray line right here. The price just went up. And this is also what on-chain was telling us, because more people were being withdrawn. The same amount of people, or even more people, because demand was getting higher, had to compete for less Bitcoin on exchanges. So more Bitcoin was being withdrawn. But let's look at the actual balance of Bitcoin on exchanges right now. So the balance is also going down now at a rapid pace. You can see that right now we are at the same level as in April of 2021, which was at the peak of the Bitcoin market. But then you have to go all the way back to 2018 to see the same amount of balance on exchanges. Now people are using wrapped Bitcoin on DeFi. I mean, I get all of that, but still, if someone wants to drop $1 billion into Bitcoin, there's less Bitcoin on the exchanges right now available to be bought. And as you know, we had a peak here in April of 2020 when you had the most amount of Bitcoin on exchanges. And this just trended down here together with the Bitcoin price going up. So, and then you think about the actual amount of Bitcoin available right now. So this is the balance on exchanges, 2,572,000 Bitcoin on the exchanges right now. And so you can see right here, as I hover over this is actually telling us 2,408,000 Bitcoin. So it's a little bit outdated, this maybe, but it's still in a similar level. So maybe they just haven't updated this, but it's still similar. And then you got 1,700,000 Bitcoin as zombie coins which have not been moved, and most likely they are not going to be moved. So essentially this should be taken out of circulation. And then you have the Bitcoin that is in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And these are going to stay there. These are not going to be sold, apart from the small fee that Grayscale are taken out for having the custody of the Bitcoin. You have the Bitcoin mined per year. You have a couple of different governments have been seizing Bitcoin. You have the Plus token scam. You have the Bitcoin owned by the Winklevoss twins. So you go down the list here. This is the amount of Bitcoin that is held in people's wallets, and Bitcoin, we can't account for anything. Like small institutions holding Bitcoin, even big institutions, but not enough to, like, if you look at this, you see 105 1,000 Bitcoin is held by MicroStrategy. So all other Bitcoin, which we cannot account for any of these categories, are here. So people holding Bitcoin in cold wallets, institutions, and this and whatnot. And then we go down here. This is the amount of Bitcoin left to be mined. And you can already see that there are never going to be more Bitcoin mined than 2.2 additional million Bitcoin, which is not a lot compared to all of these posts we have been seeing right here. I mean, just the balance on exchanges right now is this high. You have the zombie coins, you have the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and then you understand that all of the institutions, all of the retail people who are going to FOMO into Bitcoin once we break our previous all-time high again, they will not even be able to buy these Bitcoin which are left to be mined. They will have to compete for the small amount of Bitcoin that are on the exchanges. Then you also understand that there's not going to be that many more Bitcoin in circulation or left to be mined. This really is the definition of a scarce asset. When is the last Bitcoin going to be mined? Well, it's going to take hundreds of years, so we don't need to worry about that. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.